Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you're all doing okay during this crazy, crazy time. End of week 5 now? Beginning of week 6 here of the lockdown in the UK. Hope that you're all keeping safe, staying indoors, getting your exercise when you need it, and all of that good stuff. I put out a post yesterday asking for questions for a Q&A because I thought that would give us something to do. So I thought I would do a Q&A over some coffee because it's Sunday morning and I desperately need a coffee. And also, as I said, we're in the start of week 6 now, so, lockdown hair, all of that going on. So, I don't need to be on camera. My hand can be on camera, grasping a coffee cup. First of all, let's drink some coffee. Drink some coffee with me. That's good coffee. So, question number 1 from Dave. How is casting going? Casting is going tremendously well. We've had some really strong auditions. Thank you, everyone that sent in an audition so far. Feel free to keep sending auditions. There is no cutoff for this at the moment. I think while we're in lockdown, we may as well continue to just have auditions open because we're looking to get the best possible people for each role. So if you are interested in playing a role, don't assume that because a week or so has gone by now that you've missed the boat. You haven't. There's a list of a list of characters on Durs Productions website, dursproductions.com. It's in the blog and also on the YouTube video announcing the auditions. There is a cast list under that, so if you would like to get involved, pick a role or pick 2 roles. Let me know what roles you want. Email me or message me, and then I will send you some lines, and then just get a video camera and film yourself doing that. Good stuff. There is, on the casting side of things, there is a reason why there are 3 people missing. Some people noticed that some of the lines I sent had characters that aren't in the cast list. The reason for that is because when I was writing the 12th Day, I wrote it with 3 people in mind for certain characters, so those characters were pretty much cast immediately. I knew when I started writing this that I wanted Kate to be played by Janie, and I knew that I wanted Jen to be played by Paula. The character of Chris, who is a homeless junkie in the movie, there's no one else, is there? It has to be Daz. And anytime I need a homeless person, it's got to be Daz. So it was Daz. So I wrote it with Daz in mind. He gets some great scenes in this one, actually. It's going to be interesting because he's playing another homeless person, but it's in a much more serious and dark film than we've done previously. Speaking of which, question 2 from Daz. Who is your favourite cast member who has so far only played a homeless or formerly homeless person? Well, to answer that question, I actually was reminded by Nick of the squirrel, which was in Annette. It was a terrific squirrel, really professional, and he was great. So I thought that it might actually be the squirrel. But giving it some thought, I realised that the squirrel was playing a squirrel which had a home. So therefore, Daz, it is you. You are my favourite cast member who has so far only played a homeless or formerly homeless person. In fact, you might only ever play homeless or formerly homeless people because you do it so well. Question 2. Andrew, as your films have been humorous and more light-hearted, what made you decide to do this sort of film? It was a challenge, really. This whole filmmaking thing has been a learning experience more than anything else. It's just been trying to figure out things. With Annette, I think it's quite clear we don't know what we're doing. We got the camera, I don't know, like a week before we shot that film. I had no idea how the camera worked. And we just kind of wanted to make this crazy giant monster movie. So we did. That was such a learning experience. And then that continued on with Cold Shot. I started to learn After Effects, started to learn different techniques. Still very rough, obviously, but and there's zero budget, which is the other thing. I do enjoy the challenge of a zero budget movie. I know a few people suggested maybe doing a Kickstarter or something at the start of this, but I quite like making films at zero budget. It's an interesting challenge. It's good fun. But I do think, and I did feel towards the end of Call Shot, that we have kind of hid behind the humor in these films, because making a comedy, it doesn't matter if the film's a bit janky, if the effects are dodgy, if the monster looks ridiculous. It kind of all adds to the charm and adds to the humor for me. I actually think though that Annette and Cold Shot are funnier because they're so naff and janky. I think it adds to the humor. So this one, we wanted more of a challenge. It was time to move on from humor. We've done 2 comedies now. And we just decided it was time to do something serious. And there's a lot more challenge with that, because obviously if you're making, like I said, you're making a comedy, you can make it as silly as you want. And if you get some janky camera angles or some dodgy flubbed lines, it doesn't really matter, because it kind of adds to the comedy, for me anyway, because I like low budget movies and I like dodgily made films. I enjoy them. Whereas with this being a serious film, being a horror slasher, we want to get this as professional looking as absolutely possible. I'm not sure how possible that's going to be on zero budget, but we're going to do as best we can, get this film the maximum amount of quality for zero budget. What I would like, ideally, is for someone to watch this movie and not realise that it is zero budget. That's the aim. But it very much is zero budget. Joe, where are you with production, and how has the virus affected things? The production is going well. The virus has affected quite a lot. We were ready. The script was written a week or so before the lockdown. One moment. Let's have another drink. Join me. I hope your coffee is as delicious as mine, because that is some delicious coffee. Delicious, is that a word you would use to describe coffee? I guess so. It's delicious. So the script was ready about a week or so before the lockdown took place. And the documentary, because we're doing a documentary alongside the 12th Day, which is going to be effectively a documentary around making a zero-budget movie and kind of the fun of making zero-budget movies, along with the stress that goes along with making a zero-budget movie and just trying to make things out of practically nothing. So that documentary was pretty much ready to go. I think we had a few more shots to get on that. Unfortunately, the virus has put a halt to that. That would have come out with the casting call, but unfortunately, we just couldn't do it, because I needed a few more shots and a few more talking heads, which I obviously can't have because currently we're in lockdown. So the documentary was put on hold. The production, though, is going really well. Being kind of forced into this lockdown has actually helped quite a bit. I've tidied the script quite a lot. I've been working on this. I don't know if you can see that. These are my dodgy scribblings. So I've been trying to storyboard the film, which is difficult. Believe me, it's difficult when you have no artistic talent to do storyboards, but they are really helpful. They really help in terms of setting the scene. They look like childish scribbles, but they make sense to me. So that's good. But yeah, the lockdown, it's slowed things, but I think it's good. It's kind of given us time to breathe, and it's given us time to reflect on the previous movies. It's given us time to reflect on the script for the 12th Day, and to really think about how we want the film to look and feel. So in some ways, I think it's been good. It's been good to kind of put the brakes on a bit. Also, during the lockdown, Rich Chilito, who has scored the last 2 movies, has been hard at work producing the score for the 12th Day. He's been sending me demos of music, and it sounds incredible. Really disturbing, weird noises coming out. I'm absolutely loving the soundtrack for this movie. I think this one, when it's done, might just end up on my phone so that I can listen to it all the time. I absolutely love the stuff that Rich is doing currently. I've always loved the stuff that Rich does. Every movie he's done something very different, and that is certainly the case here as well. So being in lockdown with this virus has definitely slowed the production. It certainly slowed the filming. But I think it's actually been a benefit. I think it's been a benefit for us to kind of take a breath and take our time looking into, how we want to progress with this when we come out of the lockdown. Alvin, what happened on the 13th day? The 13th day, 6th of January. Nothing happened. This is a Christmas movie, by the way. It's the 12 Days of Christmas. So it's a horror slasher over the 12 Days of Christmas. So nothing happens on the 6th. Although apparently it's your birthday on the 6th of January. So happy birthday. Terry, what can you tell us about the main threat? The main threat of the film. Let's have another coffee first. Good coffee. The main threat of the film is kind of twofold. So the film centers around a character called Kate and her best friend Jen. Kate is in a relationship with someone who she knew from school. I'm being very careful about how much I reveal here. Who she knew from school, who was a complete dickhead, who went away. So during school, something went down and ended up with him leaving. He left the city for many years. He's come back recently, a changed man. He's come back a new man, and so now he is in a relationship with Kate. Kate never thought she'd be in a relationship with Jacob, but she is, much to her surprise and much to Jen's surprise. It turns out that he's actually quite nice, and he's actually seemingly trying to make a lot of effort and trying to repair bridges. That's not going to last very long. Jacob is not a nice man. So, on the one hand, there is that threat. There is the threat of Jacob. There is also the threat of a serial killer, a masked killer who is stalking this group of friends and killing them off one by one. The identity of that killer might be Jacob. It might be Chris. It could be anyone. I'm not going to say, but the main threat of the film is this masked killer. Although there are some thoroughly unpleasant people in this film anyway, such as Jacob. So there are multiple threats. The worst of which is this serial killer, masked serial killer. And in fact, I really want to show you the mask that I'm going to get. It looks amazing. It's like a human mask, so it's basically going to have a human-like face, but it's going to be like a latex face. I found some online that I'm going to modify. They look great, and that will probably be the subject of part 2 of the documentary. I would imagine we'll have that. But yeah, so that's the main threat of the movie. Anyway, I am rambling like a crazy person. Were there any other questions? I think that's all the questions. Yeah, I think that was all the questions. Thank you very much for joining me this morning for coffee. I hope you're enjoying your teas and coffees at home, and I hope you're all safe during this lockdown. Continue to send through your auditions. It'll be really good to see some more. Like I said, we're taking them for the whole length of the lockdown. We'll just keep taking auditions, so feel free to send them through dursproductions@hotmail.com. Yeah. Take care, and I'll do another update in a couple of weeks as things progress. Cheers.